Okay, well, I think we are ready for another special guest, and I'm really, really thrilled to have a chance to introduce you to this lovely gal from Dallas, Texas. One of the great aspects of what I get to do as a coach is work with men and women, but particularly women from all different backgrounds. And I'm constantly in awe of the kinds of women that are getting involved in network marketing today. And the guest that we have here next, I really wanted to include her because I think her story is one that will resonate with many of you. And she was someone who for a couple of years had one foot in her business and one foot out and wasn't quite sure if she really wanted to commit to this 100%. And I'm thrilled to hear, by learning some of these skills we're talking about today, she's experienced enough of a change and enough momentum that she's now fully committed to her business and is really excited about what's in store. So everybody, if you would, please help me welcome Ms. Lauren Goldstein from Dallas, Texas. All right. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm so honored to be here.
Oh, thank you. Isn't she lovely? All these people.
I'm a little nervous.
Oh,
I'm still human.
Don't be nervous. We're just family here, just friends. Well, you do have an amazing story. And do you mind sharing a little bit about your background? Because again, I think it so exemplifies the kinds of people that are getting involved in this profession today. This was not on your radar at all, right?
This wasn't, not at all. So my background actually is in the medical field. I was in the field for 7 years. I'd always wanted to be a pediatrician. I thought I was doing everything right. And just before I graduated college, actually my mother found this opportunity and told me about it. And I didn't get it. And I was very skeptical. I was very much one foot in, one foot out. And so I was in pediatric neurology epilepsy research full-time. I was a part-time EMT and working my job part-time, or my business part-time.
Right.
So I was doing a lot of things, but I thought I was doing the right things. And when I didn't get into medical school, I took pause and I said, you know, in 5 years, where do I want to be? That was one question I asked. And the second one was, is what I'm doing right now getting me closer or farther away? And for me, 5 years, I wanted to have a family and have a little more time and financial freedom. And the medical field is changing very rapidly. And so I knew that it wasn't a fit for me anymore, which was really hard because I wanted it for so long. And so leaving was really scary. And
amazing, really.
Yes.
Because how much time and money really would you have invested in your education? It would be significant, right?
Significant. So looking forward, it would have been another probably 8 years and several hundreds of thousands of dollars for something that is changing. And for me, the reason I was in the medical field was because I wanted to help people and I wanted to have a global impact. And I knew that with insurance companies limiting what we could do, it was becoming harder and harder. And I wanted to have a life and not feel guilty for being at the hospital missing out on a ballet recital or vice versa.
Right, and I think your story is so typical for a lot of kids just out of college or going through that post-education, university education phase, because when you think about the amount of money and time that people are investing in education, and then they're ending up in these places where they're wondering if, one, they're going to get a job, or two, if they do get a job, is it going to pay anywhere close to what they were hoping? Is it going to give them any kind of lifestyle and a sense of balance or time with their kids that they're hoping it to? And I love those two questions. Do you mind saying those again? What were you had a moment, I can tell. What were the questions that you asked yourself that helped change
the two questions were, where do I want to be in 5 years? And is what I'm doing right now getting me closer or farther away? Because to paint a picture, at that moment, I was a little bit depressed because I didn't get in, and everybody's like, oh, it's okay, nobody gets in on their first try, but I felt bad, and I wasn't happy. I was working so many hours, and I didn't have a good quality of life, and so I knew something had to give, and sometimes you have to take those bold steps and do things that scared the lights out of you, and do it, and thankfully, it's paid off so far.
Oh, that's great. I mean, a gutsy move, truly.
Very good.
And you were working, I think, 2 or 3 jobs at that time?
3 jobs. So
Three jobs.
I was full-time in pediatric neurology epilepsy research at Children's Hospital.
I can't even say that.
I know, it's a mouthful. And then part-time as an EMT. And then I was working my business in the nooks and crannies, and so there was a lot of stuff that was on my plate. So
Wow.
if you're busy, that's not an excuse.
That's right. We have an example here of what's possible. So what was the defining moment for you? There must have been a moment where you decided, because you were considering it, right? Going for your business full time.
Yes.
So what was the moment you decided this was going to be it?
The moment was we had a conference actually in Chicago where we launched a new product, and at that time I was transitioning out, and I just had an aha moment where I saw very clearly where we were going, and I realized that the only thing I was doing really in my jobs was exchanging time for money. If I wasn't there, I wasn't getting paid, and even though I was salaried, my salary didn't show how much I actually worked. And then as an EMT, I was hourly, but we're be nice to EMTs, we're not paid very well.
For the work you do,
Yes.
truly.
And so I realized that I was putting my heart and soul into this, and I wasn't getting a lot back. I mean, most patients I dealt with probably weren't coherent enough to remember my name, or, you know, in research, lab rats really aren't the best conversationalists. So
It's an interesting social network to be involved in,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
And so I had that moment where I was like, why am I putting so much into this and it's not really giving me anything back? Where conversely, you look at our business, and one of the most beautiful things is what you put in now, it'll pay you forever, but you have to put in the work. And so that was really my moment where I was like, okay, you got to get in the car.
Definitely. And do you mind if I ask what age you were when you made that decision? It was a few years ago, right?
It was a few years ago. I think I was probably 23.
Wow. Such a baby, huh? Oh, such a young kid. Well, but imagine the courage it would take for someone in their 20s to make that choice, especially after putting in that kind of time and energy into a medical career. And not a lot of people would have done it. So hats off to you.
Thank you.
Really,
yes,
very courageous.
Lots of people are like, I don't know how you did it or how you saw it that early. And I think I attribute it to my parents. I come from a long line of entrepreneurs, so it wasn't a surprise, I guess, that corporate America wasn't a fit for me. I just had to do it.
Yeah. But again, to jump into network marketing, right? I imagine your friends in the medical field were probably mystified by what you were doing, right?
Probably, yes. I think they were.
So smart choice, but courageous choice for sure. That's great. And how did we get connected? Did you find the videos too, or
I was thinking about
6 months ago?
Yeah, when we were, I think it was more than 6 months ago, maybe. But when you asked me that, I thought back, and I love social media for this very reason. When you like something, it shows up to your network, and I was thinking that's actually, I think, how I found it, is somebody on Facebook, either somebody I was connected to in our business or something had shared it or liked it, and then I investigated, and I remember very clearly, because at that point my business had basically flatlined, and I called my mom and I said, oh my gosh, I think I found a secret weapon. And because I had listened to your audio, the 6 secrets or whatever that is, and then watched the videos, and it was just like my Jerry Maguire moment where everything changed.
That's great, Jerry Maguire. So how did it change? When you look back to how you would introduce the business to people before, can you recall what you would say or how people would respond to you? What was the typical?
I wish I could forget it.
Yeah. Everybody has those moments.
I joke that, thank gosh I moved to a new state, because I think half of Colorado probably won't talk to me. So we have had a script, and I verbally vomited that script on everybody. And I remember, for me, I'm very literal, and if you ask my family, I'm a perfectionist. I'm reforming. I've been going through treatment, but I took everything that they said so literally, and they said, your target market is everyone with skin. So I'm literally fretting that somebody walked by me and I didn't talk to them, and so I'd like chase people down the street, and I mean, it was just bad. It was not authentic, and I would get the deer in the headlights, and I think people would like fake a health issue to leave, but it was not good at all. So.
Well, and again, not to bash scripts or outlines, because it's a great place to start.
Yes.
And I think what you share is so important because we can get so caught in that we can memorize it and literally lose ourselves when we're communicating with people and not be real, not be authentic. And for women, I tell you, our authenticity is the most powerful influencing skill we have. If we don't even know what we're saying and we're just truly authentic and in our hearts with people, we'll have more success. But obviously when you can become effective in your communication too, it's a powerful combination.
Yeah.
So how would that have shifted then when you learned these skills? It's like a light bulb went on for you there too.
It was a big light bulb. So for me, when I learned these skills, I went from seeing dollar signs on people's foreheads to actually seeing them as human beings with needs. And it took the pressure off of me. And I think the biggest aha moment I had was in your program. You mentioned selling the destination, not the airplane. And that for me was huge because I would just rattle off all sorts of figures and everything. And it just, I was dumbfounded because I didn't understand why they didn't get it or why I wasn't connecting. And so the moment that it shifted from me to them, like all about them, it relieved such pressure from me. And I know that's something I get from my team all the time, less so now since I've introduced them to magic words, but what do I say? And I think it's when you aren't focused on what you are going to say and you're just really in the moment and you're authentic with somebody and you're learning about them, then it doesn't matter what you say because you say what resonates with them from a very authentic level. So it took me from being somebody who was just like waiting for that moment where I could interject something. I mean, we all do that, I'm sure, or did. And so it took me from being uncomfortable and inauthentic and kind of like a used car salesman, no offense, to being present and able to connect with people if I knew them for 5 minutes or 5 years.
That's fantastic. And that, I think, is a bit of feedback I hear a lot. I hope that resonates with everybody, that when we're in our heads and we're trying to do it right, you know, it's like we got to say the right thing and it's all about me and it's about me, you know, signing up this person or making this sale, right? There's a disconnect that people can feel. And I love what you just shared, because when we put all that to the side and we just think about who is this person in front of me and how might I be able to help him or her, it's like that ego just goes away and that authentic self comes forward and people can feel it. And exactly what you said, even if you don't quite know what to say in that moment, if you're just present and you're engaged, people respond to you very differently. And I can hear that. You went from, you know, people running from you in the mall, right, to getting to a place where I know people now ask if they can stay in contact with you. And we'll tell that story in a little bit. But with that profiling exercise we just talked about, I'm curious how that helped you. Did you go through and do those exercises and look at the problems and the pain and the results and the pleasure?
I did. So the profiling exercise for me, it allowed me to get into their mind. Like, what are they feeling? If I was in their position, how would I want to interact? And so it's helped me in my business, but it's also actually helped me in my life. And I shared a funny story that one of my friends was like, you should be a professional profiler. But it takes the pressure off of it because you're more prepared. You know, if you know you're talking to, I have a lot of medical professionals on my team because I know their pain. I know the hours and the stress and all of that stuff. But, you know, I work with stay-at-home moms and different people. And if you know what they're feeling, you know, it's that much easier to come across authentic and relatable. And, you know, if they're, I don't know, selling medical devices, you know, you can ask, well, is the travel hard? Or something like that. And then they're like, oh, yeah, it is. And because then once they open up, then that opens up a door and it's easier to engage and really have a discussion that's honest.
That's great. And I believe we are all, there's so many people you can recruit and there's so many different kinds of people that can benefit from the business, right? But I really believe we are all personally designed to serve a certain kind of person or maybe a small group of people. And I can hear for you, people with medical backgrounds is a natural fit because you know them, you know what their problems are, you know what kinds of results and solutions they want to experience. So can you give me a quick example when you were recruiting some of those people into your team? How would you show them the business? Like how would you show it as a way to solve their problem? Do you remember the specific verbiage you might have used? Or
do you want me to give an example of them or the one from yesterday?
Well, let's hear the one, from yesterday, because you were on the plane, right, when this happened. Yeah.
So I love traveling. I love traveling because I meet the most amazing people. And so my plan, I guess, is I always pick an empty row, and I let fate stick whoever's going to sit next to me. And yesterday, I was traveling from Dallas to El Paso, and I had a layover in El Paso and then San Diego. And I sat next to this lovely woman who has 5 kids. She works with dentists and travels a lot. She recruits dentists. And we just struck up a conversation because I asked her, what takes you to El Paso? Because I kind of think that's not really a destination place. And so
there's got to be a reason you're going to El Paso.
And so, she shared with me, and we just got to talking about, she said, well, I'm really trying to get out of corporate America, and my son goes to Regis, which is in Colorado. So we connected for several reasons about, I just moved from Colorado, and I knew how hard it is to travel for work and stuff. And you've made a good connection, and we actually have a phone call meeting on Sunday to talk about her getting involved in the business. But you've made a connection when they say either one of two things. Well, I want to really just be friends with you. Like, I wanted to get to know you, which has happened a couple times more recently. And then Michelle, actually, she gave me a huge hug when we got off the plane. It was like, I'm so excited. I think this was just meant to be. And it's a lot easier just to have those conversations, no matter, when I look at my team of amazing business partners, by the way, shout out everybody, hey. Yeah. Almost all of them I didn't know before.
Oh, wow.
So magic, yes.
This is great.
I think maybe 2 or 3 I knew before. The rest of them I just was able to build that instant rapport, and that's something I very much lacked before Magic Words was introduced to me, is that inability to connect on such an authentic level.
Wow. And I get a sense that was a skill of yours, but this has made it even easier to draw on that, for sure. Mm-hmm. And I can really hear the shift, like from kind of pushing information at people and hoping they'll just see it, right? It's like if I just share enough detail, they've got to connect the dots and see it, to really engaging people in a way that feels real and authentic. Mm-hmm. And I get the sense you're very good at asking questions now. Are there any particular questions you find draw people out and help you identify what would be important to them? I think career is generally one. What do you do for a living?
I always ask what they do or how they got into it, because I think that's actually really fascinating. I was talking to another person on the plane, and she was an accountant, and she said that, she was just a numbers person and it made sense, but now that she's in it, like, it's just really stressful and she has no life during busy season. And of course all these like alarm bells are going off in my head, but and so I like to ask, how they like it, because some people really love their job, and that's okay. They just maybe need a little extra money. I don't think my business is something that you have to jump ship from what you're doing. Like, if you really love it, it just gives you the ability to live a more fulfilling life by having more financial flexibility.
Sure, absolutely. And we typically do hear that, right? When you talk to people about their careers, we hear that they're stressed out, they don't have enough time, they're not making enough money. So even just being able to position your business as a possible solution. Well, I have a business that can help you possibly get out of that line of work, make more money, have more free time.
Yes.
More of a balanced lifestyle. In fact, you did that with a flight attendant too, right? Would you share that really quickly?
Yes. Yeah. So again, I was traveling.
She's a travel girl.
I know. I love traveling. And she, those flight attendants on Southwest. I mean, Southwest is awesome. But you have those flight attendants that just make it that much more fun. And I was like, gosh, I just want to know this person. And so we were chatting, and I asked her where she was based, and she said she's Dallas, but she lives in Austin because she just moved from Southern California. So we were chatting about that, and she just newly got divorced, and and she got really personal really quick, and we just connected on that. And you know, she's joining my business this month too, but it was just like being able to have somebody authentically share what they're going through, and then you being able to say, well, my business can really help that. So for her, she works 9 days a month with Southwest, but she still struggles with the fact that she's not with her kids for those 9 days and traveling. And so I said, well, you know, my business would really would allow you to cut down your hours or maybe leave Southwest so you spend more time with your children. And so that was a good example of.
That's great. And sometimes just one key phrase like that, it's enough for, I mean, obviously it was enough for her to go, what's that about, right?
And she's like, here's my info, and I just want to be friends, and I want to know more. And it was so funny, but she's an amazing individual, and so I'm really excited to work with her.
That's wonderful. One point I want to emphasize too that I hear is working for you. If we do that old salesy approach, right, and people aren't interested, wouldn't you agree we pretty much lost the opportunity, right? And those are the people, you see them ducking behind the lettuce in the supermarket because they see you coming again, right? It's like not only do we not necessarily recruit them, but we've kind of lost the relationship too in the process. Where what I love about what you're sharing, I mean, people are literally saying to you, I want to stay in touch with you. I like you so much. So even if they're maybe not interested in the business right now, your whole demeanor is so attractive to people that you're building out this warm market just by flying around the country. Right. It's amazing.
Well, and I feel like, I think it was mentioned this morning, now instead of drudging through my day, now I look at it as like, who can I make friends with, or who can I share this with? And it took me from kind of resenting the business almost, because it was really hard to interact with people, and even the people I had recruited just weren't doing anything. And so now it's a lot more fun, and I feel like it's something that I can talk about more easily. And so.
That's a great point too. Because I think we can all convince people, right, at some point. And it sounds like in the past you were convincing people to join your team, but they weren't doing anything. They weren't really enrolled, right? Versus now, I get the sense you're enrolling people. You're helping them see the potential of your business in a different place, a different light. And so when people commit from that emotional place, their level of commitment is very different. They're generally much more motivated, right, to make it work.
Well, and for the first time ever, my team actually was duplicating. It wasn't just me doing all the work, and I think that was a huge testament to how powerful this actually is that it was duplicatable.
Right. Yes, because you've shared a lot of these ideas, I know, with your team.
Yes.
Good for you. There's so many places you can use these skills in your business too, and don't you find after a while it's kind of like speaking a language. You just know, you speak benefit ease, you speak results ease and feeling ease, right? And you did a great job with your business card. Can we show an example of that?
Yes,
so
you can.
What we were talking about earlier, describing your business in a way that makes it easy for people to connect to the value. She really went with that and put it on the back of your business card. And I think, Colin, do we have a shot of that? Here it is. So what does she have? I help smart, driven people design a life where you can earn more money, have more time to enjoy the things you love, and get ahead of the rat race. I help put you back in the driver's seat of your life. That's great. And then you have a picture of your company car as a little reinforcement there. So that's a great elevator speech in a way. And it's fairly generic, right? Because you're handing that card out to lots of different kinds of people. But what's been the difference in how people have responded using that?
Well, just yesterday, actually, I gave my card, or we exchanged info, and of course everybody flips it over, and this lady said, that is a really powerful, positive speech. She's like, I can't wait to get in contact. Whereas, I think sometimes if you have a business card, it's so generic and it's not memorable. I mean, the front of mine has a picture on it, but I think when you have something where they can insert themselves into it, then it's that much easier, and then the door is kind of already pried open.
Definitely. And we're going to talk about that in another session, but most cards, if you really look at what they do, they tell people what you do, but they don't tell people why they should contact you. Whereas that message strikes a chord with at least some people, right? They're like, this is why I should probably reach out to her. She might be able to help create a whole different lifestyle for myself. It's brilliant. So in a nutshell, could you sum up how you've changed by, I mean, I get a sense you've really changed in terms of the way you interact with people, but how has this approach really changed your business, would you say, in terms of bottom line results?
Bottom line results, within 2 weeks, I recruited 2 people.
That's amazing.
So
yeah.
that was a quick turnaround, and I've consistently recruited on average, I think, 2 people per month. Of
Wow.
course, various product users, and my team's duplicating. My volume has doubled, and I feel like I'm finally building momentum, which I think sometimes is the hardest, that activation energy where you feel like you're doing a lot of work and you're not seeing any results. It's kind of like that picture. It's like 2 carrots, and it's like one has a lot of roots but has a little tiny top, and then one carrot has no roots and a very tall top. And it's like, what success is an illusion, kind of. And so finally, I feel like I'm seeing the results. And I told you that kind of what's that phrase, that when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. And I think I was finally ready when I found Magic Words. And so it's changed my business, and it's helped me be more relatable and more savvy, and help my team, grow as a whole. And like I said, I feel like I'm finally over that initial hump that I think a lot of us, when we first start, we're so excited, but we have no idea what to say or how to interact with people. And so I think the reason why my team that I've recruited now has been so successful, of course, if they do it, is if, I say, well, this is what I want you to do, and you need to go through this program. And then, I constantly am getting, oh, this is so much simpler than I thought, or, it just takes it to a different level.
That's great. And you're being a little humble, too. I want to really brag about her, because one of the reasons I truly wanted Lauren here, not only are you beautiful and just a lovely person, but I really saw that you represent so many women out there who've taken this leap of faith to start a business. And really, you came from an entrepreneurial family, but you didn't have any business background. And from what I could tell, you were kind of cycling, for 2 or 3 years, right, in this business, and bringing a few people in, but nothing was really sticking. And you could have easily quit, and no one would have had fault with you for doing that. I mean, you gave it a shot, right?
Yeah.
But really, in the last 6 months, your business has grown substantially. And I think you've brought in, a total of 13 new people now, some direct to you, some within your team. The fact that you picked up 3 leads on the plane coming out here, is a testament to just how effective you're being with people. And I know you've been recognized by your company 4 different times in the last year for recruiting excellence. You promoted 2 levels in your company.
Yeah.
So although your business was still fairly new, you're really on an amazing track. And I'm so proud of you. And I see amazing things in your future.
Thank you.
Where do you want to be? If you look at next year, where are you going to go from here?
Obviously, I want to be at the top. And I think now, that my head's in the right place, and Magic Words has really helped me get to a place where I feel authentic about this business, because I think in the beginning that's the reason why I was half in, half out. I mean, so I've been in my company for 4 years, and the first 3, to be honest, I did nothing. Or I was dabbling, I guess, looking maybe for an excuse to leave. But then when I saw and got through Magic Words, it was like that light bulb, and I finally was in. And so it's exciting to just be on this ride now where I feel proud of what I'm doing and authentic, and I'm having more fun.
That's wonderful. And kudos to you, because you really applied this. I remember getting an email from you within a week or 2, because you had recruited a few new people, and she wrote me, she's like, this works, I can't believe it, it's really working. And you did the program. You didn't just sign up, you actually went through the exercises, you watched the videos, you went out and applied it. So what would you say to the people watching who are just learning this, and maybe it feels a little different than what they've been taught, and they're not sure, should I go try this? In terms of encouragement, based on your experience, what kind of words of encouragement or advice would you give to them?
So for me, anybody that's considering this, I would say do it, 100%. I mean, it's an investment in your future, and for me, it changed my business, it changed my personal life, it changed everything. But like anything else, you have to do the work. But if you're even considering it, do it, because it is so worth it. And it's like the ripple effect, really. When I always say work harder on yourself than you do on your business. And this helps kind of have a twofold effect where you're working on recruiting and sponsoring, but you're also working on yourself. And I have such a high regard for the program, and I'm so thankful that I that I found it, because it's changed my business and my life, and I know countless other team members that I have. So I would highly, highly recommend it.
Well, I'm touched to hear that. And like I said, I'm proud of you, and I know this is just the beginning. I have no doubt in the next year or two, you're going to continue on this trajectory, and you know, kudos to you for your commitment, because it really comes down to just finding stuff that works and applying it and doing it, and that's really what you've done. So thank you for being here. Thank you for coming all this way to share your story. Can we give her a round of applause?
Thank you so much for having me.
I just so appreciate it. And I know many of you watching, I hope, feel inspired. If you're stuck in your business and you're feeling like you maybe have one foot in and one foot out and you're not sure if you want to give it 100%, I really wanted to share Lauren's story because I know the potential that's here for you. And it really just takes commitment, and it takes learning sometimes some new skills to make what you're doing even more effective. And I've no doubt if you want to apply these ideas we're talking about today, even in the free videos, that you'll see a difference in your results. And any of you that are watching that love this idea of the program and would love to dive in deeper, we'd love to have you. It's the only time we're going to do it this year. So as Lauren said, give it a shot. And we have a 30-day unconditional guarantee. So if you're even curious about it, please jump in, test it out. You've got a whole month to come and do the lessons and work with me, and just be sure that this is something that